Good afternoon, all. Am I audible to you? Yes, students. Am I audible? And whether the screen is visible to you? Yes, reply fast. Hello? Akshay Chavan is there? Am I audible, students? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nikita. Okay. Just tell me now the screen is visible to you. The PPTs are visible. Okay. So now the voice is breaking or it is clear? Yes, students.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. The voice is clear or it is breaking still?
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Okay. Okay. Now just check and tell me whether my voice is clear. Is it clear now? Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So let us start. Yes. Whether the screen is visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start with the lecture. So in previous lecture, we have seen some polygon filling methods. So in those methods, we have learned the earlier two, that is seed fill and flood fill method. In seed fill, we have seen 4 connected and 8
Ma'am,
connected.
your voice is breaking.
Still it is breaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, okay. Is it okay now? Due to some network issues, it is breaking, I think. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Now okay.
Okay. So we have seen polygon filling methods. In that, two methods we have already discussed. Seed fill method. So seed fill, it considers the interior pixel first. It color that interior pixel and then search for its boundary pixels, neighboring pixels. So first seed point is filled, and next it will search for the neighboring pixels. If they are of boundary color, then we are skipping it. And if they are um, not of boundary color, then we are coloring it with a specific polygon value. So that is the method we have seen for seed fill method. It has two types of working: 4 connected seed fill and 8 connected seed fill. In 4 connected seed fill, some of the pixel remain uncolored. We have seen this example. So some of the pixels remain uncolored, and that is overcome if we are going to use 8 connected method. So in 8 connected method, all the pixels get colored. So most efficient is 8 connected pixel method for seed fill. Then we have seen this seed fill is also called as boundary fill, and we have seen the example and algorithm of it. So this is the algorithm. So there we are getting one pixel with get pixel command and storing it in current. And then that current pixels characteristics we are finding out whether it is boundary pixel and whether it is field one. So if both the conditions are false, then we are setting that particular pixel to the polygon value. And in that way, we are going to find out the 4 neighboring pixels in 4 connected. If we are going to use 8 connected, then instead of this, we will be having total 8 times call for this boundary fill function. So this boundary fill function is applicable for 8 different parameters. We can say this parameter is towards right hand side, so x plus 1 and y remains as it is. Then x minus 1 and y, it is of left side. Then x constant y plus 1 is a top pixel and y minus 1 is a bottom pixel. So these are the 4 pixels. Similarly, we can have the diagonal pixels as well. And by using the same method, same algorithm, we are going to call only 8 times this boundary fill algorithm. And then we will have the more efficient one, 8 connected method for polygon filling. So this we have covered. Then flood fill method we have seen. It is the modification in boundary fill method. It is acting as bucket fill tool in Paint. So how we are doing that? We are selecting any interior pixel, and if there we are not going to check whether the boundary is received or not. There we are going to check only the color of the pixel itself. So if the pixel is of interior color, that is no color is given to it, then we are going to change the color into polygon value, polygon color. So this is the algorithm we have studied. So we are getting a pixel, then checking its color only, whether it is interior. Then we are changing the color and calling for the 4 connecting pixels. So same method is there. Only the difference between flood fill and seed fill is seed fill checks for the boundary and flood fill checks for the interior pixel value. If it is interior, then it is going to color that pixel. Remaining all things are same. It is also finding 4 neighboring pixels in seed fill as well as flood fill, right? So this much part we have covered. Now the third technique of coloring the polygon is scanline fill method. So scanline, it indicates that line by line we are going to fill the color in the polygon. So line by line filling of color. What is the meaning of this? We have already seen in raster scan method, we are starting from the top left corner and moving horizontally towards the right, and then again coming back to the second pixel, that is first pixel on the second line. So it is nothing but a kind of zigzag like structure. So I am completing, I will be starting from the top left, reaching to the rightmost, then coming back to the second row, first pixel, and this process is continued till you reach to the end of the screen, rightmost bottom pixel. So this is your screen. In the same way, here the scan line method is used. So it is going to scan each and every line, and once it will found any pixel of background color or boundary value, let's say, instead of background, I can say boundary value. So once it will find the boundary value, then all the inside pixel, it will change into picture color, that is fill color. So this is the method of scan line. But there are two special cases to handle. One is if the line is horizontal. So see here, in this particular horizontal line, we are going to exclude this. Why? Because whenever this scan line will intersect this boundary, so this particular pixel, which is on this scan line as well as the boundary of this object, this particular pixel will show that the boundary is reached, and all the interior pixel will be colored into the fill value. But it is not possible
ma'am.
because, yes,
If the pixel is half inside the boundary and half outside the boundary, then Hello?
like this case. in
Yeah,
the- yeah, I will come to that particular point. Okay. So first thing is, if I'm having the horizontal line, that is the boundary. So this line should act as your boundary. What will happen in the scan line fill method? Once it will find the intersection at this particular point, it will start changing the color of further all pixels into the required value. But it should not change because your boundary should be different and your interior pixel should be different, right? So what the scan line fill method is doing, it is scanning the line, and once it will intersect the boundary, all the next pixels, it will change to the fill value until the next boundary is reached. Okay, काय करती है ही scan line? This is your object. So the job of the scan line is, it will scan from, this is your complete screen. This is your screen, and on that screen you are having this object inside. Now it will scan the first line. On this first line, is your object present? No. So it will not change this color which is present on the background. So it will be as it is. In the next scan line, we will consider this one, middle one. Okay, so till the intersection with the boundary, there is no object present, right? So this all pixels on this short line will be of background color. And what it will do, first it will find the intersection of the scan line with edges. So the scan line gets intersect at this point, and as soon as the intersection takes place, so coordinates of this point and the next intersection, coordinates of this point will be stored somewhere. So this line intersects the object 2 times. So I will store the coordinates of this point. Let us assume this point is having coordinates 10, 10. This point is having coordinates 10, 10. And this particular point is having coordinates, let's say 50, 10. X is incremented only and Y is as it is. So 10. So what is happening? This is your scan line number 1 and this is suppose your scan line number 5. So I will store on scan line 5, I find 2 intersections with the elements or with the coordinates 10, 10 and 50, 10. Okay, so that is your step number 1. It will find the intersections of scan line with all edges. So all the edges on this scan line is checked. Next job is to sort the intersection in increasing X value. So I am going to sort the intersection. So X value is 10 and X value is 50. So I am going to scan it in increasing order of X. So I will store only 10 and 50 in the same sequence, right? In the same sequence, increasing value of X. So 10 and 50. And the third is fill all the pixels between pair of intersections. So this is your first pair of intersection, 10, 50. So all the pixels which are in between, that will be filled with my required color. So let us consider this is my required color. So this is 10 number pixel. This is 50 number pixel. So all intermediate colors, all intermediate pixel, I will be coloring with the required value, that is fill value. Getting it? So this is how the scanline method works. Now tell me, if I am having this scan line which is passing through this horizontal edge, then what will happen? This is my second number scan line. Till this particular point, there is no intersection. So now once this intersection is found, the whole line which is ranging from 10 and coming to 50, all these points are on the scan line. So I will say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 up to 50. All these points are on the scan line. Then what to do? 10 to 11 is your first pair. The third step, according to the third step, make the pair and color those pixels. So 10 to 11 is the first pair. So there is nothing in between to color. Then 12 to 13 is the next pair. So here it is getting, here it is not valid. So it is considered as special cases that you have to exclude the horizontal edges. These horizontal edges I am going to exclude. So if the scan line encounters any horizontal edge, we are going to skip that line as it is. So I will be keeping this blue color as it is, which is your boundary color. Getting this, the meaning of horizontal lines. So the second scan line will be excluding the horizontal lines, then only I will get the correct output. Same is true for this horizontal line. So such horizontal lines are skipped. Getting it? The meaning of excluding horizontal edges. Shall I move further? All of you are getting the meaning of this? Yes, reply fast.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is about the object with horizontal edges. The second special case in this scanline fill method is this. So the object which is shown in this figure, that is your second case. So consider the working of scanline. So consider the scanline which is 8th number scanline in this picture. So number 8 scanline. So I will draw the scanline here. Okay. So it is exactly passing through the vertex. So in the 8 number scan line, what the contents I am going to store, its X value. Its X value. So what is the X value of the first intersection? The first point of intersection is X is having value equal to 1. So X is equal to 1. What about next? In the next intersection is at a vertex having X is equal to 5 value. So X is equal to 5. And the third intersection is at X is equal to 9. So I am having total 9. Okay. Now what will happen? The sorting is done. So I have find the intersection of scan line with all edges. प्रत्येक एज बरोबर मी इंटरसेक्शन फाइंड आउट केलं पहिल्यांदा या 8 नंबर स्कॅन लाईनचं. Then I am sorting it in increasing order of X. So increasing order of X 1, 5 and 9. I have sorted now. The third step is fill all the pixels between pair of intersection. आता pair करणार आहे मी first आणि 5 ची. So what will happen? 1 to 5, all these elements I will be coloring it with the specified color. So हा one element पण color होईल. Then okay. So this much part I have done. Next, 9 is not paired with any number because 9 has no element to get pair. Then what will happen? This remaining portion will remain unfilled. No, but it should not happen, isn't it? Because this portion is inside your polygon. So this should also get color. And how it is achieved? That is, I am going to consider the vertex element twice. So that is the remedy, that is the solution for this special case. That for vertices lying on scan line, you have to count it twice. So I am going to count that twice. So what will happen? Instead of 159, I will have the twice count of 5. The 5 at 5, the vertex is present, and that's why I will be counting it twice. So now it is obvious to get two pairs, 1 to 5 and 5 to 9. So all the intermediate, all the pixels between 1 to 5 and 5 to 9 will be colored. So now my job is easy. So 5 to 9, all these will be colored by the green color. Getting this? How this scan line method works. So scan line method works in the same manner. For every scan line, it will check the intersections with all edges. Then it will sort those edges by increasing order of X. And third, all the in-between pixel, make the pairs of this sorting X values, and all the in-between elements will be colored with the required value. And the exceptions are two. First is when horizontal line is there, skip it, that is excluded. And when the vertex is there on the scan line, consider it twice. Okay. Is it clear, all of you? Boys
Hello, ma'am.
side. Yeah, boys side reply.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us see the same example which is drawn in the this particular object. Okay, so the same example we will see now. So how we have done the coloring for this particular polygon. Okay, so see now. This is your polygon shape, and for every scan line, we are going to have the coloring in between the pixels. So on 8 number scan line, this is your X value 3, then X value 5, then X value 12 and X value 15, let us say. So all are paired and in between values are colored with the required color. So that is how for every scan line it is done in the same manner. And ultimately I am going to get the filling of the polygon like this. Getting it? Okay. All of you clear with the scan line fill method?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So based on this process, scan line filling process, H flag algorithm is designed. So H flag algorithm is very important. So this algorithm, the name of the algorithm is H flag. So here, what is the meaning of flag in programming? What is the meaning of flag? Have you ever used this word before, flag? Okay, so I will tell you the meaning of flag is it can hold maximum 2 values like a binary number. So what is the binary number is having? Binary number has only 2 values, 0 or 1. In the same manner, in the H flag algorithm also, a flag is set and it has only 2 values, true and false. Okay, so flag is nothing but one variable used in this algorithm, and that variable is this inside. Inside is the variable used. It is either set to false value or it is set to true value. So a flag is used. So flag is having only 2 possible values, true and false. Here we are using the name of the flag is inside in this H flag algorithm. So here we are concentrating on the edges of the polygon, and that's why the name is given as H flag. So we are working on the counter first. So counter is nothing but it is the boundary of the object given. We can say the boundary of the object given. It is nothing but the counter. So this algorithm is named as H flag because it is having the edges, and we are going to set the flag to true or false. And both the things are used in this algorithm. This algorithm works in 2 steps. First is the counter outline. So just now I have told you the meaning of counter. So counter is nothing but the outline of your object, that is the boundary. So I am going to draw the outline. So how to draw the outline? For that, I'm using this equation. What is that equation is? Consider this is your screen. Okay, this is your screen. And
hello, madam.
Yes.
Can I take 1 minute?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Only 2 things. Who is Akshay Chavan? Are you there, Akshay?
I was also searching some time before because I was not getting any reply that whether the screen is visible and all. Okay. So I just asked his name, but I'm not getting any reply from his side.
In such case, madam, we can remove them from the class.
Okay.
Nikita?
Yes, sir.
Nikita Puri.
Sir.
Yes. Akshay, as said earlier, you have to follow the naming conventions. Division underscore your roll number underscore your name. It takes hardly 1 or 2 seconds to change the device name. Nikita, okay.
Yes, sir. Change.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Over
Yes,
to
sir.
you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Okay. So let us see how this H flag algorithm works. So I have drawn your screen, and on this screen, consider only a small rectangle I want to fill, right? My job is to fill the small rectangle that I will be drawing with another color on the screen. So consider this is your screen. Every small box is acting as the pixel. Every small box is acting as a pixel. Okay. So this is your screen, and my job is to draw the counter outline. So consider the rectangle that I want to color is this. Okay, so I want to color this particular rectangle. That is my requirement. Now, what this algorithm tells us, in step number 1, you have to draw the counter outline. So counter outline, that is pixel wise, I have to draw. So what is the method to draw the outline is, here the expression is given, that is x plus half greater than x intersection. If it is true, then you have to set it as a boundary value. So the meaning is, this is just the expression. From this expression, you are not getting anything, isn't it? So what you have to do is, H flag algorithm works according to the scanline field. So it also works according to the scan lines. So here is the scan line present. So for each scan line, what I have to do is, I have to check the x plus half. So it is called as half scan line method, because here we are concentrating on the half. So half value is added, and that's why I will say the x plus half. So x is nothing but the pixel which is lying on the right hand side of the intersection. So x intersection means what? This particular part. This is your x intersection, where the boundary is intersecting with your scan line. So the scan line intersects here. Then it is said which pixel is considered as the boundary value. So for that purpose, we are choosing this expression, that is x intersection is this. So whichever pixels lies on the right hand side, because this condition will true. When it will be true, x intersection is here, and all the pixels which are on the right hand side will have the more value than that of x intersection. Samja x intersection, x value is here is 1. This is your grid where x is 0, x is 1, x is 2, x is 3, and so on up to x is equal to 10. Okay. So when x value will be more, that is when the pixel is on the right hand side of the intersection. So when this pixel is on the right hand side of the intersection, then only that value is more. And that's why I will be taking this as an example, that is x plus half, the pixel whose midpoint, half means what? This distance, half of the pixel distance. And that's why it is called as half scan line. So I am concentrating on the half. So whose midpoint lies on the right hand side. So this is pixel whose midpoint lies on the right hand side. Similarly, this midpoint is also on the right hand side. This is also on the right hand side till this particular point. Okay. So these are the pixels which are of our interest. आपल्याला color करायचेत हे, which is lying on the right hand side with the condition that x value with half scan line is greater than x intersection. All of you are getting, this is your x intersection value and half plus half is this value. It is nothing but your center of the pixel. So such all pixels are of our interest. Out of that, I will be selecting the leftmost pixel. Means which pixel? This one. Leftmost pixel. I have to select the leftmost pixel such that the x plus half should be greater than x intersection. So all these pixels are having x plus half greater than x intersection. And then I have to select the leftmost out of that. So this will be treated as your boundary value. So leftmost pixel is considered as your boundary pixel. So this will become my boundary. Similarly, for this above scan line, if I will consider this pixel, what will happen? This pixel's half scan line, that is the center of this pixel, is lying towards left. So this is your 0th pixel and intersection pixel is 1. Whether the condition is satisfied, whether 0 is greater than 1? No. So this pixel is not considered for our interest. All the pixels which are on the right hand side of the intersection is of our choice. And out of that, the leftmost pixel will act as the boundary pixel. Similarly, for this above scan line, this pixel will act as a boundary pixel. This one. Such in that same way, these pixels on the top will be acting as your boundary pixels. So the first thing is over. That is, I have drawn a boundary of this side. Similarly, this boundary is true for the horizontal line we are going to exclude, isn't it? Because edge flag algorithm is same as that of your scan line fill. And that's why the horizontal edges are not considered. Then again, for this vertical edge, the intersection plus half. So all these points are of our choice now. X intersection is here and all further points are of our interest. Out of that, the leftmost pixel is this. So this will be acting as your boundary value. So x intersection, x plus half greater than x intersection is the condition. And out of that, the leftmost pixel will be given a boundary value. So leftmost pixel is this. And that's why all these pixels which are present on the leftmost side of the intersection, that is leftmost pixel on the right hand side of the intersection, will be acting as your boundary. So this is your boundary value. Okay. And again, this is your horizontal line. So as it is horizontal line, we have to neglect it. So now first step is over. That is, I have drawn the counter outline. So the outline is present. Now what is there? It is the step 2 to fill inside. So now my job is to fill the color inside this object. Okay. So for that, these are the steps to be followed. So it will start for each scan line. So I will start coloring from scan line number 0, scan line number 1, scan line number 2, scan line number 3, and scan line number 4. Okay. So for each scan line, first I will set a flag. So this inside is a variable which is acting as a flag to false value. I am going to store false value to this inside flag first. Then for scan line 0, the flag is false, that is inside is false, and I will start doing the scanning operation. It will check for x is equal to 0 to x is equal to x max. I will start with x is equal to 0 to x equal to x max, that is 10. So x is ranging from 0 to 10. Okay. And scan line is 0 number scan line. If pixel is set to boundary value, BV stands for boundary value. If pixel is already set to boundary value, so it will check with x is equal to 0 first. Whether x is equal to 0 is boundary value? No. Boundary value is this red pixel at x is equal to 1. So this is not of boundary value. So this if loop will not get executed. It will go here, this step. This if loop will be false. Pixel is not set to boundary value when x is equal to 0. For x is equal to 0, it is not of boundary value, and that's why this if loop will not be executed, and I will be checking if inside equal to true. What is the value of inside? We have set it to the false. So in the else part it will go. So you have to set the pixel to the background value. So this pixel will remain as it is, that is of background color. Okay. Next, what will happen? Once this is set to background value, I will be coming out of this if, and I will increment x. So x is incremented, x becomes 1. So for this 1 value, it will work. Now what will happen? It will check if pixel is set to background value. Now x is equal to 1. Yes, this pixel is set to background value. Now it will enter into this if loop. So it will negate inside. Negate inside means what? Inside is our false flag. So that I have to negate. Negate means false becomes true. So now inside value will be true here. And it will end the loop. Now I will check whether inside is equal to true. Yes, inside value is true. We have changed this value here. So inside is true. That's why what you have to do is set that pixel to polygon value. So at x is equal to 1, I am going to set that pixel to the required value. Consider I want to color it with blue color. I want to color this polygon with blue color. So I am going to set this. Again, x is incremented. This if loop is over, I will set it to the polygon value and x is incremented. X becomes 2. Okay, x becomes 2 now. So in 2, what will happen? Pixel is set to background color. Second number pixel. No, it is not of background color. So what it will do? It will come out of this if loop and go here. Now what is the value of inside? Inside is still true. Inside ची value अजूनही true आहे कारण आपण ह्या if loop मध्ये गेलोच नाही. कारण pixel ची value background value नाहीये. Sorry, boundary value नाहीये. So we have not entered into this if loop and inside value is still true. मग काय करायचंय? Set pixel to polygon. So this pixel also will be set to the polygon. So this line is repeated in the same manner. So x will become 3. It is not of boundary value. So color it with blue. And this process is repeated till. ही process कुठपर्यंत repeat होईल? जेव्हा मला इथं x is equal to 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 पर्यंत जशीच्या तशी repeat होईल. X equal to 7. Now x is equal to 8. X increment झालाय आणि x has become 8. Now at 8 it will check. If the pixel is set to boundary value, yes. this pixel is set to the boundary value. Now what you have to do? Ha boundary value आहे next pixel, 8 number pixel. So it will negate the inside. So current value of true will become false. It will change it into the false and it will end. Now it will go into this if loop. Now what is the value of inside? It is false now. So it will set it to the background value. So this pixel will be of background color. So I will be having this pixel is of background intensity, background color. Okay. And that's why earlier काय आपण केलं होतं? We have drawn the object. आपण ऑब्जेक्ट ड्रॉ केलं होतं ते असं होतं, म्हणजे आउटलाईन ही अशी होती इथे. And that's why this right hand side pixel is of background color now. आपली ही हे ऑब्जेक्ट होतं आपलं, correct? And that's why the last pixel which was given the boundary value is again converted to the background value, and this process is repeated for all scan lines. This is for scan line number 0. For scan line 1, the same process is repeated up to scan line 4. Getting it? Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this is how your age flag algorithm works. So many times age flag algorithm, not in this case, but you will be having the question like, what is the name of the flag used in age flag algorithm? So there you are having the inside flag. The name of the flag is inside, and it is set to false first. And by changing the value of the flag from true to false, false to true, we are getting the polygon field. Okay, so here 2 steps are there. Counter outline, that is, it is considering the x plus half distance and whichever are lying on the right hand side of the intersection. And then you have to consider the leftmost pixel for the drawing the counter outline. So once the outline is ready, then use the fill inside algorithm. So in this algorithm, set the flag to false, then check whether the boundary value is there. If boundary, then negate that flag and color inside. And once you get the second boundary value, again negate the flag, and further all pixels will be of background value. Okay, and this is repeated for every scan line. So for each scan line, this process is repeated, and you are going to get the color field like this. The interior portion of this object will be colored for every scan line. Okay, so this is how your age flag algorithm works. Okay, so this is about all the algorithms of polygon filling. In that we have seen the seed fill. The flood fill is also called as age fill algorithm, and that's why age fill, age flag, and what we can say, seed fill. So all the 3 algorithms we have studied now. Now the point which we left in between, that was the run length encoding. So that we are going to see now. Is there any difficulty in this age flag algorithm now? All of you are getting this age flag algorithm? Okay. So let us start with the next bit, that is the last bit of the chapter, which is run length encoding. Okay. Purposefully, I have kept this bit aside because it is it is not actually related with the shape drawing and coloring. It is something related with the storage. Okay. That's why I'm taking this bit at the end. So this was the syllabus of your CG. Chapter number 2. In that polygon filling algorithms we have seen, only this bit is remaining, run length encoding. Okay, so let us start with that run length encoding. Okay, so what is RLE? So it is also called as run length encoding. It is based on the compression methods. So the compression in terms of text, in terms of program. So here we are going to see what is compression and how run length encoding supports this compression methods. Okay. So let us see what is compression. So the name itself gives you idea. Compress means what? I'm going to compress the size. You are using the softwares like Zip or what we can say, the WinZip and all, WinRAR. So what you are exactly doing? You are compressing the size. Total size of the file is larger, or the software size is larger, and you are compressing, means reducing the size of that file. So similarly here also the compression is applied on the text and program, that is data and the programs, to reduce its size. So here the compression is nothing but data compressed by eliminating redundant elements. Redundant elements is very important thing, that we are eliminating the redundant elements and data gets compressed. Purpose of this compression. So why the compression is required? To save the storage space, obviously. If the data which was earlier of 30 MB, let us assume the data size is of 30 MB, if that gets reduced in 10 MB, if 30 MB size is reduced in 10 MB file, then obviously the storage required, space required to store that data will be less. And that is the purpose of the compression. That is, you can save the storage space. And second is reduce communication capacity requirement. So if I want to send that file to some other computer or other user, so the communication requirements will be less. That means within a small capacity, I can send that compressed file. So that is the importance of the compression. It will reduce the size required, storage space required, and it will reduce the communication capacity requirements. Okay. Then some code must be substituted for eliminated elements. Okay. Now we have seen data compression is nothing but eliminating the redundant element. Redundant means if the occurrence of that element present many times. So we have to eliminate them. But in that elimination, shall we change the meaning of the program? Suppose in your program, there are, suppose 5 times printf statement. There are 5 times printf statement. Okay. So this is a redundant function. Printf is the redundant function. 5 times it is present in my program. Okay. So I will eliminate these elements. So if I remove these 4 printf statements, whether your program will give you the same output? No. right? Whenever data is compressed, this is redundancy. Printf statement is present 5 times. Okay. So printf statement is present 5 times. So I have to compress, I have to reduce by eliminating this redundancy. But if I will directly remove these 4 printf statement, you will not get your file as it is. तुमचा तसाच प्रोग्राम रन होईल का? नाही. You are going to change your code of the program. So instead of elimination, you have to substitute the element. That means what? Here, if I am writing the printf statement for x1 in earlier program, आपण काल program पाहिला x1, y1, x2, y2. Get the value of x1, y1, get the value of x2, y2. Okay. x2 and y2. Okay. This was our code yesterday. I have written 4 printf statements with x1 value, y1 value, x2, y2, and x2 value and y2 value. Now this is redundant and I want to reduce it. So how I can do? I will write only one printf statement to enter the 4 coordinates of the line, 4 end coordinates. I will write only one line instead of writing these 4 lines. Ultimately, I will be getting the same result, isn't it? I will be printing that you have to enter the 4 coordinates of the line instead of repeating it for x1, y1, x2, y2. I will write only printf, enter 4 coordinates. Then I will accept those values in x1, y1, x2, y2. Whether the reduction takes place? Yes. Instead of these 4 lines, I will be using only one line. Whether the meaning of the program will change? No. The meaning of the program will not change because I have substituted the 4 printf statements by a single statement. Getting it, all of you? That compression also should be carried in such a way that the original meaning of the program should not change. The original meaning of the data, the original meaning of the information should not change. So for that, the code should be substituted for eliminated elements. So such redundant elements I have to eliminate and you have to substitute proper code for it so that ultimately the original program meaning will not change. Getting up to this? Okay. If you have any doubt, ask it. It is the method of compression and run length encoding is used for data and program compression. Okay, so I believe there is no difficulty in this. Okay, based on this code, receiver can reconstruct the original data. So depending upon this code, receiver can reconstruct the original data. So receiver knows what to give as an input, and that's why it will reconstruct the data. That's it. Okay, so compression is having 2 purposes and substitution takes place while eliminating. Now there are 2 categories of compression. One is called as lossless compression and other is called as lossy compression. So the name itself gives you idea. Lossless means there is no loss in the code and program in this type of compression. So no information is lost. Decompressed data are identical to original uncompressed data. So this is very important. Lossless means no loss takes place and the reconstructed data that is decompressed. म्हणजे कॉम्प्रेशन झाल्यानंतर जेव्हा आपण दुसऱ्या मशीनवर डेटा पोहोचल्यानंतर जेव्हा तो एनकोड डिकोड म्हणतो आपण तसा डिकम्प्रेस करतो, तेव्हा मला ॲज इट इज आयडेंटिकल टू ओरिजिनल डेटा I will receive. So this type of compression is called as lossless compression. And in lossy compression, decompressed data may be an approximation to the original uncompressed data. So decompressed and uncompressed, they are not the identical, but it can be an approximation to the original data. Okay, so compressed data is approximation to the uncompressed data. That is the difference between these two methods, lossless and lossy compression. In that, our run length encoding is coming under this lossless compression. So there is no information lost in run length encoding. The null separation is one method of compressing the data. That is, it is the oldest and simplest method. Long string of blanks, nulls cause the redundancy. So at transmitter, scans data for strings of blanks, substitute 2 characters code for any string that is encountered. So it is null separation means if data contains a long string of 0 or the blank symbols, nulls, so they can be removed easily by inserting the any special symbol in case of such redundant elements. So it is kind of compression. For example, say this is your null compression. That is, whenever blanks are present, simply we are going to replace it with this character SC, and it is present 5 times because these blanks, 5 blanks are present between these two. So whenever the string XYZ with 5 spaces or 5 blanks QRX is given, it can be replaced like this, XYZ as it is. And for this blanks, I am having the special character or the special compression of 5 bits. So here 5 blanks it's considered, and remaining QRX is as it is. Okay. So instead of writing this string, I will be compressing it to this particular format. Okay. So that is how this null separation takes place. And now we will see the run length encoding. So run length encoding is a lossless compression. That means no loss takes place. It is the simplest method. So you will come to know how simple it is. And third, it is applicable to data and program both. Similarly, it is applicable to image as well. So image, that is nothing but the data again. So your run length encoding is applicable to data, images, and programs. For example, I am having this particular data with me. Okay. I am having this particular data with me. Okay. So what does the string contains? The string contains 4 A's, 3 B's, 2 C's, and 5 D's. Okay. So how the compression takes place? So to store this string, how many bits are required? Consider 1 bit is required to store 1 character. So total 4 is 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9 plus 5, 14 bits are required. Each element is using sorry, each element is using 1 bit for storage. So ultimately I am going to have the 14 bits requirement in the storage. That means if I want to transmit the length from sender to receiver, then I require 14 bits of 14 bits of size, which will be shifted from one computer to other, or one sender to receiver. Instead of that, if I will apply run length encoding. So what is run length encoding? So name itself gives you the length, that is run length, which is of 14 bits, will be encoded. This length 14 bit will be encoded, and after encoding I will be getting a compressed form of it. So I will be having the encoding. So whenever I will encode this string, what is the output I will get? So on this encode I will get the number of A's. So I will write A. The number of A's are 4. So I will write 4 over here. Similarly, B. So what about B? B is present 3 times. So I will have B3. Then I will have C. How many times C is present? 2 times. So I will write C2. And last element I will have D, and D is present 5 times. So the encoding of this string, that is run length, according to the length of this string, I am encoding it. So encoding is done like this: A 4 times, B 3 times, C 2 times, and D 5 times. So now how many bits are required to store this string? Only 8 bits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8 bits are required to store this string. So this is how, after encoding, you are going to compress the string. Right? All of you are getting this. So in terms of data, it is acting like this. So this is the example. This is the example of data encoding. Getting it? So now what can be the drawback of this method? What can be drawback? So if we are having the groups of redundant elements, then the run length encoding is applicable. But instead of this, if I am having the string like, instead of this, if I will have the string like this, then what will happen? What is the encoding of this? What is the encoding? Currently, how many bits are required? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 bits are required currently. Now, after encoding, I will have A element 1 time, B element 1 time, again A element 1 time, B element 1 time. So how many such bits will be required here? To store single A, I require A with 1. So simply the requirement will be doubled.
34.
Yes. So total 34 bits will be required to store the encoded form of this data. So this run length encoding will give you the compressed form only when the redundancy is grouped together. So redundancy of A, it is grouped together. Redundancy of D is grouped together. So in such examples, you will get the reduction in the required size of storage. But if the redundancy is not grouped together, AB, 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 that is alternate redundancy is there, then the required size will not be less than that of actual size. Definitely it will be more. Okay, so this is how your run length encoding works for data. Okay, so in data compression takes place when the redundancy is grouped together. If alternate redundancy is there, then the compression is not taking place. You can encode definitely. This is also encoding. A1, B1, A1, B1, and so on. So encoding will take place, but compression will not take place. Okay. So this is about applicable to data. Now we will see one more example where this encoding is applicable to image on the screen. Okay. Up to this, is there any difficulty? Girls,
No.
getting it? Boys side?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So run length encoding we have seen in short. It is a lossless compression. Data is not taking, data loss does not take place, isn't it? In this data example we have seen, after compression also we are getting the same data at the output, right? Encoding is done in such a way that data will not get loss. Okay. Then how it is applicable to image? For that, I will show you one diagram. Okay. Yeah. So this is your screen. On this screen, I want to print this capital E. Is it visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to draw this E onto the screen. So the information which is there on the screen is stored somewhere. This information is stored in the memory. So it is stored in terms of a buffer. So this is your frame buffer, which is of equal size of your screen. So this screen is, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pixels horizontally and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pixels vertically. So it is 8 by 8 block. So total 64 bits are required to store the information, right? Total 8 by 8, that is 64 bits are required to store this E onto the memory. Now how it is encoded? So according to the scan line, I will be encoding it in this manner. That is 1 indicates background color and 0 indicates the picture color. So 0 indicates here black. So 1, these are the top 2 pixels, which is of background color. Then E, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 blocks are having black color. That's why it is stored in 0. And remaining 2 pixels are of white color. It is stored in 1. Same way it is followed 1, 1, 0, then 5 times 1. Similarly 1, 1, 0, then again 5 times 1, 1, 1, 3 times 0, 3 times 1, and so on. Okay, so all of you are getting the meaning of this frame buffer. Wherever there is a background color, that is white color, it is indicated with 1. Whenever it is picture color, that is black color, it is indicated with 0. Okay, so this is the frame I want to store into the memory of 64 bits. Okay, 64 bytes. So if I want to store it in terms of white and black, I will write it in W indicates 1 and 0 indicates black. So white and black. Okay. So now my next job is, according to the line I will store it. According to the line I will store it. That means 2W, 4B, 2W. So it is written over here 2W, 4B, 2W. So it will store the information in 6 bytes only. It will store the information in 6 bytes only. 2W, 4B, 2W. So 6 bytes of information is stored with one particular scan line. Similarly, in the second scan line, 2W, 1B, and 5W. So it also has 6 bytes. Similarly, all this information will be stored in 6 bytes. So 6 into 8, instead of 64 earlier, we require only 48 bits of memory to store this image after this compression. So I have compressed this information scan line wise, first scan line, second scan line, third, up to 8th scan line, and each size is reduced to 6 instead of 8. And ultimately, the total size required is 48, while earlier was required was 64, 8 by 8 block. Right? And that is how the run length encoding is useful for storing the images as well. Getting it? For image. So you can try it for this image. So this is having the total size requirement. What is the total size requirement? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 7 into 6. Total to store this image. To store this particular image, I require total 42 bytes. Okay, I require total 7 horizontal and 6 vertical, that is total 42, 7 into 6, 42 bytes I require. But if I will apply the run length encoding on each scan line, how many I will get? That is, for first scan line, if you observe, I will get W1, black 1, W3, black 1, W1. So total I will be requiring W1, black 1, W3, black 1, W1. So 5 into 2 on the first scan line, I will require 10 bytes. In the second scan line, I will require only 6, 3 black, 1 white, 3 black. So I will require 6. The next is all black. So black 7, that is I require only 2. Here I require 6.
6.
Yes. Next also I require 6. And the last also I require 6. So if I count them together, 6 4s are 24 plus 2, 26 plus 10. That is 36 bytes will be only required instead of 42 bytes. So still we are getting some compression in the image size. And there is no loss, because at the end, when I will give this particular information from one user to other user or sender to receiver, ultimately after decoding, I am going to get the same image on the output. Right? This is your input image. This is your compressed data. And this compressed data, when I will send to the receiver, then receiver is able to decode it and get the same image. There is no loss in the data takes place. Getting it? Okay. So I believe there is no difficulty here. Okay. So this is how it is applicable to images. And now, okay. So this is applicable to images, and now we will see how it is applicable to programs. Okay. How it is applicable to programs. So all of us, we know that how the programs are stored. In the computer, how the data or program, they are stored. So our computer understands the machine level language, or simply the binary language of 0 and 1. All of you are aware about that, right? Your computer only understands the language of 0 and 1. Okay. So consider I have written one line of code. Consider I am writing one line of code which is composed of zeros and ones. So consider 6 zeros, followed by 9 ones, followed by 10 zeros, followed by 12 ones. Okay. So this is how you are writing one line of program. Consider this is your printf statement. So printf statement is written in the computer in machine level language in this manner, which has 6 zeros and 9 ones, then again some 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 zeros and 12 ones. Okay. So how to reduce this? How to use run length encoding compression on this program line. So this is your program line, and I'm going to store it in memory. Okay. So how it is carried out? So for initial thing, I will write here total 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 zeros are there. So I require total 6 byte. Okay. Total I require 6 bytes to store zeros, then 9 bytes to store ones, then 10 bytes to store zeros, and 12 bytes to store 1. So ultimately, how many bytes of memory required? This is 37. Okay. 37 bytes of memory is required to store this program line. Okay. Now, if I want to encode it, I am going to encode it with run length encoding. So encoded data, I will write en. So how the encoded data is there? It is a program. So it is written in this manner. 0, number of zeros are 6. So colon represents the occurrences. So 0 occurrences 6 times. Then 1 is present 9 times. So 1 occurs 9 times. Then again 0 occurs 10 times. And 1 occurs 12 times. Okay. So this is in short the encoded. But the encoding also should in terms of 0 and 1. Here 6, 9, 10 and 12, these are the numbers which are not known to the computer. computer understands the language of 0 and 1. Okay, and that's why the encoding with respect to 6, 9, 10 and 12 is carried out in 4 bit of data. 4 bit of data. So how 6 is represented in 0 and 1 with 4 bits? So every number 6, 9, 10 and 12, they are converted into a 4-bit binary number. Is there any difficulty? Anyone wants to say something? Yeah. Anyone wants to say something? Ask anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So we were here. The encoding, the number of zeros 6, number of ones 9, number of zeros 10, and number of 1 12. This was the encoding. But still computer don't understand 6, 9, 10, and 12. And for that purpose, a 4-bit binary data is considered to represent these numbers 6, 9, 10, and 12. How 6 is represented in a binary 4-digit number? So it is represented like this, 0 as it is, and 6 is represented as 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, so 0, 1, 1, 0. The meaning is, it is read like this. The 0 is occurring 6 times in the in this program code. Then 1 is occurring 9 times. How 9 is written? 9 is written in the binary format like this, 1001. It is a representation of 9 in a binary format. Then again 0 is present 10 times. So 10 in 4-bit number, it is represented as 1010. And then last 1 is represented 12 times. It is represented as 1100. So 8 plus 4, that is 12. So this is how the encoded data is stored onto the computer. Now, whether there is any loss in the data? No. We are knowing 0 represents 6 times. 1 is represented 9 times. 0 is represented again 10 times. And 1 is represented, this one is represented 12 times. So while encoding, we are going to select the number of bytes. Here we are using 4 bits for storing this count. But if the count is too large, for example, 1 is present 32 times, then whether 32 is represented with 4 bit of information? No. For that, you require more number of bits, and that number of bits will be decided at the time of encoding. And receiver also knows the number of bits specified at the time of encoding. And that's why it will be easier for the receiver also to decode that sequence and get this instruction, get the original sequence of program. Getting it? So this is how. Now how much data, how much size is required here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 into 4, 16 plus 4, that is 20. So earlier 37 bytes were required. Now we require only 20 bytes of information to store this program line. Getting it? So this is your lossless compression, which is applicable to data, image, and programs. And it is the simplest method among all other compressions. Getting it, all of you? But the drawback is it is not applicable if the alternate redundancy is present. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this ends with your chapter number 2 of computer graphics, which is your raster scan graphics. We end with this second chapter. So today it will not be possible to conduct a test because from 2:30 you will be having the next lecture. So on Monday we will have the test, right? I will provide you with the link. You have to attempt the test and submit that test. Okay, so MCQ test will be there on Monday 2:30. At 2:30 I am having the lecture on your class. So Monday 2:30 will be our test of chapter number 1 and chapter number 2. If possible, I will make 2 separate links for chapter number 1 and chapter number 2 tests. Okay, both will be of 10 marks. Is there any question from your side regarding test or regarding any bit that you have not understood yet from chapter number 1 or chapter number 2? Just go through the contents of chapter number 1 and 2 and tell me if
लेक्चर अपलोड करा ना.
ऍक्च्युली काल आणि परवा दोन्ही म्हणजे प्रॅक्टिकल पण आणि त्याच्या आधीचं लेक्चर पण मी ट्राय केलं अपलोड करायचं, पण मी ऍक्च्युली आउट ऑफ स्टेशन आहे आणि तिथे रेंज येत नाहीये प्रॉपर, त्याच्यामुळे मला नाही ते अपलोड करायला जमलं. मी 2-3 तास ट्राय केलं पण त्याला खूप जास्त स्पीड लागते. मी नेक्स्ट वीक जेव्हा मी रिटर्न येईल कॉलेजमध्ये तेव्हा स्पीड असतं, मी तेव्हा अपलोड करेन. तोपर्यंत नाही शक्य आता ते करणं. नेक्स्ट वीक राहिलेले सगळेच लेक्चर मी अपलोड करेन. ओके
ओके
या राईट. सो
प्रॅक्टिकलला झालेले प्रोग्राम्स,
हा प्रॅक्टिकलला झालेले प्रोग्राम उद्या तुम्हाला मिळतील. आज जमलं मी आजच पाठवेन ग्रुपवरती, आणि जर आज नाही जमलं मला तर ऍटलिस्ट उद्या तरी तुम्हाला मी पाठवून देईन ग्रुपवरच, व्हॉट्सअप ग्रुपला. आणि आता नोट्स मिळाल्या म्हणजे पीपीटी मिळाल्यात तुम्हाला चॅप्टर नंबर 1 आणि 2 च्या आय बिलीव्ह.
येस मॅम.
येस ओके. सो तुम्ही चॅप्टर येस
चॅप्टर 1 MCQ अवेलेबल आहेत का?
हा MCQ मी आज पाठवेन किंवा उद्या मॅक्सिमम. आज किंवा उद्या मी पाठवून देईन MCQs दोन्ही चॅप्टरचे. आणि सोमवारी मात्र टेस्ट असेल तुमची चॅप्टर नंबर 1-2 च्या. ओके, अजून काही डिफिकल्टीज? द चॅट बॉक्स आय विल चेक. ओके. So let us start with chapter number 3. Still 10 minutes are there. So just we will see what are the contents we are going to learn in chapter number 3. What is the central idea and what are the chapter outcomes. Okay. I believe there is no difficulty in chapter number 1 and 2 now. If you have any in the next coming lectures also, you can ask me. Okay, so let us see the syllabus of this chapter number 3. Okay, so unit number 3, the name of the chapter is geometric transformations. So here geometric transformation, why the name is given as geometric transformation is we are going to concentrate on 2D and 3D images, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional images. It can be a triangle, rectangle in case of 2-dimensional, or it can be a cube in case of 3-dimensional transformation. So here what we are going to learn in this chapter, what are the different transformations that we are learning. So we will learn here the translation. Translation is nothing but simply shifting the object to a new location. मग त्याच्या डायमेन्शन्स मध्ये काहीही चेंज होत नाही. Simply lifting up the object and keeping it in the other place is called as your translation. So how the 2D and 3D both translation takes place, that we are going to learn. Then second is rotation. So rotation is very important. So along x-axis, along y-axis, and in 3-dimensional transformation along x, y, and z axis, we are going to learn how to rotate the given object, and after rotation, what will be the coordinates of that object. That is very important. That is, once consider here, consider that this is your screen. I am having this particular triangle, a 2-dimensional entity, and I want it to rotate with 90 degree. So whenever I want to rotate it with 90 degree, always remember computer graphics supports the rotation anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise means in this direction, opposite to that of clock. So always it provides you the rotation. Computer graphics provides you the rotation with anti-clockwise direction, and the specified angle is 90 degree. So if angle is 90 degree, then how will be the resultant location of this triangle? So always the rotation takes place with respect to origin. So with respect to origin, I am going to rotate the object. So currently it is parallel to x-axis. So after rotation, that is, consider the rotation after 20 degree, then after 30 degree, after 70 degree, and after 80 degree, and at the end I will have the rotation of this object after 90. So this is your resultant object. This is your original object, which is rotated with respect to this origin, and you will be getting the outcome, the final object, like this, where the base is parallel to y now. The earlier the base was parallel to x-axis. Here, after 90 degree rotation in anti-clockwise direction, your base will be parallel to y-axis. So this is how the rotation is carried out. So the earlier coordinates will be changed to these new coordinates after rotation. Okay, so after rotation, what will be the coordinates and all that we are going to learn. So this is applicable for 2D as well as 3D images. So 3D rotation is also there in your syllabus. Next is reflection. So reflection in 2D object, it is of 3 types, or instead of 3, it is of 4 types, I can say. The reflection with respect to x-axis, the reflection with respect to y-axis, the reflection with respect to y equal to x, and the reflection with respect to y equal to minus x. So this is your y equal to x line, and the reflection with y equal to minus x line. So this is your y equal to minus x line. So if I want to reflect the object, consider this is a triangle given, and I want to reflect it with x-axis, the reflection will be somewhat like this. The reflection with respect to y equal to x-axis, it will be somewhat like this. The reflection with respect to y-axis, this will be changed here, and the reflection with respect to y equal to minus x, this axis, that means the reflection is somewhere here. So this is how the reflection takes place for 2D as well as 3D images. In 3D, we are having only reflection with respect to 3 axes, x, y, and z. Okay. So that is about the reflection property. Scaling. Scaling means to enlarge the size of the object or to reduce the size of the object. So this is your triangle. If I want to scale it to 2 times, that means this side will be increased 2 times. The base is also increased 2 times, and the third side will be also increased to 2 times. So I am going to enlarge it. The other way is also possible. I am going to compress that. That means the size will become small. The size will become small. So this all things comes under scaling. Here one more term is present, that is called as uniform and non-uniform scaling. Uniform and non-uniform means if all the sides, all x and y coordinates are enlarged by the same factor, that means x is also doubled, y is also doubled, then it is called as uniform scaling. But it may happen that x becomes double and y become triple. That means the multiplying factor for x is 2 and the multiplying factor for y is 3. So it may also happen, and that is called as non-uniform scaling, because the scaling factor is not same for x and y both. It is changing, and that's why it is called as non-uniform scaling. So these things we are going to learn under scaling. Then shearing. Shearing is nothing but deformation in the size. Deformation in the size. For example, this is your current object and I want to shear it along y-axis. Shear means simply stretching one point to a new point, a new location. So what will happen? The base will not change, but I am going to lift this point so that the ultimate result will be somewhat like this. This is your ultimate stretched point. I will rub this actually. So this is your ultimate stretched point. So base will not change. Only you are going to pick that top of the triangle to some more height. So this will form the deformation in the shape. The earlier maybe this triangle is equilateral triangle, but now consider this is your equilateral triangle, but now it has changed. So the shape of the object will not remain same in the shearing. So these are the different transformations we are going to learn on 2D and 3D images. Similarly, I am going to see the combined transformation and multiple transformation. That means combined means more than one. Multiple means also more than one. So more than one transformation is applied. So when more than one transformation is applied on the object, it is your combined transformation. That means I can scale as well as I can rotate. Similarly, I can translate as well as I can shear. So all these things combinedly, they will form the what we can say combined or multiple transformation. Similarly, here rotation about arbitrary point, reflection through arbitrary line is also there. So what is the meaning of this? Rotation about the arbitrary point. So here we have seen the rotation takes place with respect to origin. Okay, the reflection takes, rotation takes place with respect to the origin. With respect to origin as a center, we are rotating the object. But what happens if I want to rotate it with respect to this point, which is interior? How the rotation will take place? With respect to this point, the triangle will change its coordinates like this. Right? Because simply rotation, that is simply rotating the object by its or with respect to its center. So that is called as rotation about an arbitrary point. So this is your arbitrary point. It is not the origin. So with respect to this arbitrary point, how to carry out the rotation, that we are going to learn. Similarly, reflection through any arbitrary line. So this is any arbitrary line. I want to reflect the object with respect to this arbitrary line, which is neither x-axis nor y-axis nor y equal to x, y equal to minus x. It is not that, but I want to reflect the object with any arbitrary line. So what can be the steps to be followed? Okay. So these are the different transformations we are going to learn in this unit number 3, which is called a geometric transformation. Now, after learning this chapter, what are the outcomes that you will receive? So, the outcomes that you will receive with respect to this chapter is, so these are the 5 outcomes. So you are able to apply simple 2D and 3D transformation to given object and create simple 2D animations. So how the rotation takes place, that is nothing but the animation kind of thing. Your object is moving. Just now I have told you your object in case of rotation. I have shown you how it is rotating. So this is your object. This object is moving like this. That means ultimately you are applying the animation to this object, isn't it? This object is moving in this manner. So you can rotate it and you can cancel, you can rub the earlier image. So ultimately you are going to reach at this location, means you are moving the triangle forward with 90-degree rotation. So that is nothing but the kind of animation you are providing to the object. Okay, so here we are able to apply simple 2D and 3D transformations. And so all these transformations we are going to learn: translation, scaling, rotation and all. And we are able to create simple 2D animations also. Okay, so this is your outcome with respect to chapter number 3. So already we have completed this draw lines, draw circle. We are going to see in the next coming practical, and fill polygon. So earlier outcomes, drawing a circle and filling up the polygon, that we will see in the next coming practical. Okay, so after end of this chapter number 3, you are going to achieve this outcome number 4. Now this subject is not having any external practical. You are having only 70 marks paper, 30 marks ISC and 25 marks term work, that is continuous assessment, internal continuous assessment. So that are about total 125 marks of weightage CG is having. Okay, so this is about the overall idea of unit number 3. And in the next lecture, we will be actually starting with the syllabus from 2D transformations. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we will stop for today. No need to give the attendance. I'm having that attendance with me. It is getting generated in the Zoom itself. Okay, so you can leave now. Thank you.